these channels. So let's jump into it. First story here. Let's start straight from the horse's mouth, folks. World Economic Forum, and this is what they say. This is again recently from Davos 2022 to Davos 2023. The 6 themes that have set the agenda now. Now, of course, I'm not going to go over their whole agenda, but there's one part in particular I want to talk about, which is theme number 4. And theme number 4 states, preparing for the next pandemic requires ending health disparities. What does that mean? So they're looking now at basically framing pandemics is basically not just viruses, not just monkeypox or SARS-CoV-2, but instead actual like systemic racism and things like this. They're framed.
Wow, that's crazy. I'd like to thank the Heavenly for the opportunity to be able to see you guys. Hope everybody is doing well. I pray that your health is well, mindset, mind, body, soul, spirit is good, and that you're coming along. I had an episode over the weekend, man. I tell you, my weekend was kind of like cluttered with nonsense, if you ask me, man. Just trying to help out around my, my place of employment, man. Couldn't find out. It's crazy, but now it's got to take a whole nother level since I'm ready to retire anyway. Whole nother level of approach when I go to this place every day now. It truly is the trap. Say one thing, do another, trap you in. It's a trap. All right, it is what it is. But 34 and a half years, well, almost 35 years. So it is what it is. All right, check it. We're going to talk about a fragrance, so we're going to move into a fragrance. Alert Verte by Kilian. I bought this along with the apple brandy on the rocks. And I ended up selling the apple brandy on the rocks. Even though I liked it, it was kind of like almost like the same as the other one, but a little bit different, a little bit more, alcoholic. These two are part of the alcoholic. I think vodka on the rocks too. Part of the alcoholic situation. Well, not alcoholic, whatever, the spirit, whatever Kilian says, part of this line. And to move on from apple brandy on the rocks to this, it really had to mean something. Let's get with it. Let's get to talking. Woody, aromatic, soft, spicy, patchouli, bitter, earthy, balsamic, sweet, warm, spicy, and anise. Okay. Let's move up and see if we can see some notes, please. Thank you. Okay, we'll talk about the nose of this fragrance. Matthew Nardine. Top notes: absinthe, licorice, and violet leaf. And you really smell the licorice. Real talk. I was just saying my prayers, and writing my prayers, I said, I smell licorice. Licorice, violet leaf, patchouli, vetiver, woody notes, and sandalwood. You kind of smell all of this, but the top note being absinthe and the middle note being a licorice and the violet leaf, they definitely pop off quick. The base notes probably what's going to hold the fragrance together, I guess. Patchouli, vetiver, woody notes, and sandalwood. But I liked it. Not think because of the licorice. Maybe because the licorice was really, really prominent in this thing. Absinthe, I always wanted absinthe fragrance. Like my man, Nasamato. And the fragrance called absinthe. And if you know the story about absinthe is what my man Leonardo da Vinci or somebody drank and made him cut his ear off. That's absinthe. Hopefully I'm gonna cut my ear off. So, yeah. What I'm wearing today is nice. The licorice is crazy. Not sure about the absinthe. Can't say I ever smelled absinthe because I never bought the absinthe drink. Because you can buy absinthe as an alcoholic drink, I think. Never bought that. As I heard about the dude cutting off his ear, I ain't no follower. I'm a leader. Lead myself away from that absinthe, man. Trying to get my ear cut off. Right? So, that's what it is. That's why I'm eating some oatmeal, of course, and drinking some tea before I head up out here and bounce to the trap. Thank y'all for stopping by and checking me out. Appreciate you. Like, subscribe to my channel. Donate if you like. Cash App, RAJUR, to help me do more content. Maybe we can get back into more fragrances. I just realized I got another $40 bill. I got a new car. It's crazy. I bought the car. When I was buying the car, you call the insurance company. Okay, here's the VIN number. Here's what, blah, 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 blah. How much is it going to be? Oh, it's going to be this. Okay, cool. Now I just found out the thing that went up $30. That's another $30 a month. I don't know, $30 a month to be paying for. I mean, it is a nice car, though. And last night I was being pretty dumb with it. I really opened it up, but wasn't a lot of people on the street. Everybody was in the house. Still don't mean that I should have been opening up the car. But I guess I was Camaroing and all that stuff last night. When I was leaving the joint, one of them joints came next to me, parking. I forgot what it was. And they never saw his car because his car not even on the street yet. So they parked, and then the other guy, he had like a Audi. He pulled up with this girl. They got out, and they were just looking at me. So I said, yeah, you know, in case y'all wanted something. I started messing around with it. And they started laughing. But anyway, I guess all that craziness brought me an increase in my doggone insurance bill. So I'll see if I can use USAA or somebody else to get my bill down on my renter's insurance. See what's up. Other than that, I'm out. Talk to y'all later. Be well. Stay safe. Help yourself. And this virus thing, this vaccine thing is getting about crazy. They're going to get to the point that anybody who didn't take the vaccine will try to throw us in jail.
It is more of an illness on the body politic, the volt.
Politics.
The Germans might have
Taking
said.
this and turning into politics. That's
Let me
crazy.
explain what they're doing with this.
But
For
I'm
the
out.
United States, COVID-19 has been a hot topic during every annual meeting since January 2020 when the virus emerged. And thanks to the vaccines, attendees were able to return to Davos in World Economic Forum.
I'll just let it play. Tell me
More
where it
than
goes.
2 years later. However, the pandemic looks quite different in many low-income countries, where just 13% of people are vaccinated, compared to 75% of people in high-income countries. Now, they're talking mainly about Africa, and this is a bit of a strange narrative because those of you watching the virus, numbers and stuff like that, you may notice something very interesting, which is Africa has hardly had like COVID deaths. Africa has fared better than most of the world, other than the parts, ironically, where you've gotten higher rates of vaccination. But for the most part, Africa has actually fared really well with COVID-19.
It's not because Bill Gates shot him up with a whole bunch of vaccinations.
To the fact that people in these countries regularly take things like hydroxychloroquine, because you do have higher rates of malaria in these countries. Hydroxychloroquine, of course, being an antiviral drug, people take it as a preventative against malaria, and has now been shown to be somewhat effective to a degree against COVID-19. It's not quite clear why you've had lower deaths in Africa.
I would they call it the Wuhan, the Fauci Wuhan
they have much lower vaccination
COVID-19.
rates.
But
But the
don't even
World
say that
Economic
crap.
Forum now is saying something interesting, which is they're suggesting Africa basically needs to be ground zero for all of the new preparations for the next global health crisis.
I think they're trying to kill
Let me
everybody
show
over
you.
the drink.
They say this. They say this is a quote from Winnie Byanyima, the Undersecretary General of the UN and Executive Director of the Joint UN Program on HIV/AIDS, during a session on racial equity on the anniversary of George Floyd's death. She said, "Racism is not only when black people or brown people cannot breathe because of police violence." He's like, in the United Nations, she's talking about Africa, right? This isn't an American thing. She says this: racism is when black people, brown people, people of color take their last breath because of policy violence. Now, I've never heard of policy
Violence.
before,
Tell you,
but they're saying the new problem is policy violence.
coming at the people who don't take that
It just says
vaccine.
when they are denied life-saving, pandemic-ending medicines. So if you're in Africa and you're unable to get the COVID-19 vaccine, they call that now racial violence, policy violence. And those who do not help get vaccinations to Africa are now guilty of policy violence. And she continues stating, when they can't access care or education because debt is choking them. Well, I have a big problem with debt also. I'm not personally in debt, but I tend to not like the the taxation systems in the West very much, and I think that the debt systems are terrible. So I agree to some extent with that. But I think, of course, the people proposing this are ironically some of the biggest advocates of high taxation and debt. So I take it with a grain of salt coming from them. Further into what states, it says corporations are taking immediate steps to, and I'm going to go into why this matters in a sec, so hear me out, right? Corporations are taking immediate steps to end disparities. So why are businesses getting involved with this? Corporations are taking steps? It says during Davos, Pfizer, of course, which makes one of the vaccines, a strategic partner of the World Economic Forum, you getting that? Launched a quote, an accord for a healthier world, offering all of its patent-protected medicines and vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccine, on a not-for-profit basis to 45 lower-income countries. That states, leaders at Davos 2022 discussed how governments, corporations, and other stakeholders can collaborate to improve health equity, not equality, but equity, socialism, in other words. Equality of outcome, right? Where you force people into equality. If they're too rich, you make them poor. If they're poor, you make them a bit richer by stealing from the rich. Although I doubt the frankly wealthy millionaires and billionaires of this particular group are the ones who think they're going to get robbed through this, right? It's going to be other folks like the middle class. It says, starting with preparing for the next pandemic. And it says, quote, investing in health systems and regional bodies like Africa CDC and African Medicines Agency must be a key priority, said Paul Kagame, president of Rwanda. And he said, quote, we have to act in the full expectation that there will be another pandemic. Now, why does that matter? Aside from just being concerning in terms of the way they're framing what a global health crisis is and redefining what racism is, on that note, they're basically redefining a global health crisis, not as like a virus spreading, not as like, COVID-19 or monkeypox. They're framing a global health crisis now as a racial crisis, as a crisis of inequality, of countries lacking socialism, in other words. They're basically framing the entire idea that if you don't have socialism, it may in fact be, a global health crisis. And they're also linking it to race. By linking it to race, they're basically using they're actually ironically very similar narrative to what the Nazis did. The sickness on the body politic. If you want to learn more about that, watch the interview I did with Dr. Aaron Kheriaty, where we talk in depth about this. That was recent interviews I did, which you can find on Epic TV. Claiming there's a sickness on the body politic, which requires an emergency order of some kind to essentially do things that they could not do under the normal constitution. In the case of the Nazis, that meant eliminating different unwanted groups from the body politic, Jews being among them, but others actually were included. They're doing the same thing in terms of claiming there's essentially a sickness on the body politic, racism being the problem they're pointing to, and inequality within that being the main cause of it. They're claiming, or not inequality, but lack of equity. Now, why does this really matter? Because this is in context of what just happened with the Biden administration giving a ton of money to Africa. And had you not serious financial problems? Let me show you.
I'm out.
Business Insider Africa. It says Biden administration has pledged $55